It's a reasonable question. You were aware of this level of fraud and investigations. Why didn't you do something sooner? Please explain.
Yeah. The fact is, starting in 2019, I went to the legislature asking for...
But you didn't pause payments, Governor. Are you leading the criminal investigative effort into this massive fraud across the board in the healthcare spectrum in the state of Minnesota or not? You're not leading. I must say, Mr. Chairman, that the Attorney General of the state of Minnesota should resign. Gentlemen, ma'am, thank you for being here today. Governor, when you took office, this fraud had already begun. Is that an accurate assessment?
That's accurate, Mr.
Yes,
Higgins.
So what we're trying to get our heads wrapped around here as a nation, and we're doing our best as a committee, I'm quite certain on both sides, to just sort of focus our attention on what needs to be focused on. You had massive fraud in the state of Minnesota. And when we started looking into waste, fraud, abuse, and theft across the country, Minnesota surfaced as a wow moment for the entire country. So naturally, you know, we look as a citizenry to, well, who's in charge there? And my old friend, Governor Walz, is in charge. And the truth is fraud had begun before you took office. So it's a reasonable question, Governor. What you're noted in many interviews, I'm not going to go through them ad nauseum. You were aware of this level of fraud and investigations, and yet it seems like nothing was done until the Trump administration reestablished itself in a second term, and we began broad investigations into waste, fraud, abuse, and theft, and Minnesota popped. So would you please, I just give you a minute to respond.
Yeah.
Why didn't you do something sooner? I know some people were put in jail. I know there were investigations, but there was billions and billions and billions of dollars being stolen from a pretty concentrated demographic in your community. And this demographic is a significant political supporter for you and your party, good sir. So I just ask you, please explain.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Mr. Higgins, and I appreciate your question in good faith on this. First of all, the issue of billions, and I'll keep saying this, $1 is too many. That number got thrown around. There's nothing behind it, but I will acknowledge $1 is too much. I will also note the characterization.
I would say it's low. I would say it's slow, but continue.
Well, there's nothing to support that, but look, we will pursue it and assume that that's the case. We will still make the changes we need to make. The characterization that nothing happened until the Trump administration came in is simply not true. We worked with them in the first administration where USDA didn't take action, and I think that's documented. The fact is, starting in 2019, I went to the legislature asking for...
But you didn't pause payments, Governor.
The pausing payments...
And the criminal investigation, which I'm running out of time, I want to jump to. The way America sees this, Governor Walz, respectfully, sir, is that this money just continued to flow. There was a high awareness of this waste, fraud, abuse, and theft, like organized crime level theft, and it seemed to be slow rolled, and nobody stopped the money from rolling in. And the money's gone, been remitted overseas. Attorney General Ellison, you stated in your opening statement that you sort of stated that your office only has direct jurisdiction over Medicaid fraud. Did you say that in your opening statement? Okay, well, you seem to indicate that you don't have, like, criminal authority, but you do, don't you? Under your own law, you have authority if the county district attorney asks you to get involved, or if the governor asks you to get involved, then your office can take lead on any criminal investigation, specifically if you have particular staffing and capabilities within your office, because it's statewide, to look into organized crime. Is that not correct? Okay, so you have the authority to lead your state's effort to respond to this massive fraud at the state level from within the healthcare realm, where government money is being stolen at very, very high levels, unprecedented levels in your state. Are you leading that effort for the state of Minnesota? You're addressing it. Are you leading it? Are you leading the effort?
We are leading the effort to prosecute Medicaid fraud in Minnesota.
I'm not talking about Medicaid fraud. Don't hide behind that. You have the authority to prosecute anything criminally that the governor asks you to. And this thing is big. I'm giving you an opportunity, sir. Are you leading the criminal investigative effort into this massive fraud across the board in the healthcare spectrum in the state of Minnesota or not?
We are following the law. And
you are not leading. You're not leading. I'm going to say, Mr. Chairman, that the Attorney General of the state of Minnesota should resign. I yield.
Thank you. Gentleman yields back. Before I recognize Mr. Frost, I want to, Mr. Waukesha, you were right. She's not testifying in Homeland Security. Kristi Noem's testifying in Judiciary. I knew she was here somewhere today, so that was, you were right. I misstated the wrong committee. Chair now recognizes Mr. Frost from Florida.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chair. And I have unanimous consent called Fraud Focus. Why is Trump granting clemency to convicted fraudsters?
Without objection, so ordered.
Thank you all for being here. The whole world has witnessed unprecedented and extreme immigration enforcement tactics this year in Minnesota. After the murder of Renee Nicole Good and before the murder of Alex Preddy, President Donald Trump posted on Truth Social that, quote, "the day of reckoning and retribution is coming." Governor Walz, the dictionary defines retribution as punishment inflicted on someone as vengeance for a wrong or criminal act. Based on what we've seen play out in Minneapolis, what is the problem with the President of the United States directing agents to carry out retribution?
Well, yeah, thank you. And this is certainly troubling because under the guise of fraud, which we all want to tackle, we were subject to, as you saw, the largest invasion of a state by the federal government, I don't know, in certainly any of our lifetimes. And that infliction, to me, we're trying to figure it out. Look, we'll acknowledge, and we're fixing it in Minnesota, but I'm telling you, each year you're going to go back to your state, and if some of you think you want to be governor, you're going to deal with this. And these folks keep moving. The problem is, Congressman, this was about retribution. This was about singling out Minnesota. And I think, I'm going to just name it, I think it's singling out because our state works and it provides things for people and we care and we mind our own business and we respect our neighbors. And this retribution had nothing to do with getting the worst of the worst. We know that. It had nothing to do with stopping fraud. And we were subject, we being Minnesotans, for over 10 weeks. And I want to note, just before, and I'll yield back on this, Congressman, I think this is important to note. The gentleman from Illinois noted that Midway Blitz, the damage it did to Chicago. There were 500 agents on the ground in Chicago. Kristi Noem testified yesterday there's still 650 in Minnesota. It is not over. This is not ancient news. This is not looking like everybody moved on. Minnesotans are still experiencing this.
It's bad for our communities and makes our people less safe. It's terrorizing our streets. Yes. Reverend, what has been happening in your community when individuals try to record federal agents?
Thank you for your question. Individuals who have tried to record federal agents have been told they cannot. They have been asked for taken pictures of their license plates. They have been followed. They have been subject to fear intimidation tactics by ICE agents.
And one of the only reasons that really the world knows about what's going on in Minnesota is because of our Constitution and the right to be able to record law enforcement and federal agents. Those videos and the videotapes have been in part the reason why we know what's going on. Trump administration officials have suggested that observing or identifying federal agents is, quote, doxing or, quote, assault. We know federal agents have followed observers to their homes. We know protesters have been pepper sprayed. We know people have been violently detained who were filming them without bystanders having cameras who know how the murders of Renee Nicole Good and Alex Preddy by ICE agents would have been handled by this administration. They have already tried to lie about these murders, even with footage. After Alex Preddy was murdered, Stephen Miller said he was, quote, a domestic terrorist who tried to, quote, assassinate federal law enforcement. Kristi Noem said that he committed an act of domestic terrorism. And the President of the United States said that he was an agitator and perhaps an insurrectionist. Reverend, the last thing I want to get to that I think is really important. I grew up in the church, and I used to wear one of the "What Would Jesus Do" bracelets, mainly because I used to curse a little too much when I was little, and then I would like snap myself when I cursed. Either way, nowadays I think less about what would Jesus do, and I think more about what would happen to Jesus in this country. And I just wanted to give you a moment to talk about what you think would happen to refugees Mary and Joseph as they come to our border. Would they be separated from their child? I mean, what does this look like?
Such a good point, Congressman. And yes, Jesus was himself a refugee, as were his parents. And yes, I fear that they too would have experienced the harm and cruel treatment that Minnesotans have been experiencing at the hands of our government.
What do you say to the people who hide behind the Bible and wrap themselves in the flag to say that what is going on in our country right now with ICE, terrorizing our communities, ripping our neighbors, ripping families apart? What would you say to people like that?
I think, again, Matthew 25, where are we in this moment? It should be on the side of the least, the widow, the orphan, the hungry, the homeless, and that as people of faith and moral conscience, history will tell what side we stood on, but our actions today will show true love of neighbor.
Thank you. I yield back.